Hello, welcome to the channel. So at the moment I am posing out my predator section, and I thought I'd posed the jungle predator, but I haven't. It was scout, feral predator, alpha predator and temple guard predator. So as I said previously when I was doing the other review, I was going to pose out assassin, and so we're going to start that review, just showing you a number of different poses, and one of them will be selected for the final pose that will go back in the predator section. So how I've decided to structure this is that I'm going to show the pose with one head sculpt, and this is the first one with the mandibles closed, and then I'll show it again with his other head sculpt. I don't know how well this film did at the box office, but compared to Badlands, I thought this was a good film. And when you watch the end of that film, you get the impression they were going to do a follow-up, because if you know the story, this guy was chasing a predator that was trying to deliver technology to the humans in order to defeat these guys who've been genetically enhanced. And what they've been doing while they've been hunting other alien life forms, they've been taking their DNA and adding it to their DNA. And if you look very closely, if you watch the film, you can obviously see that is not the normal feat of a predator, but actually of a xenomorph, an alien. So these predators are more aggressive, bigger, stronger and taller. Now there's two versions of this figure. This one is the standard look that you see him in most of the film, but then you see him have a blue wash, and that is actually the technology they've added to themselves, in which they can activate armor from under the skin, which makes them appear blue. So if I'd have got that version, I wouldn't have minded, but the fact is this one is really good. His only problem is he's not difficult to pose, but standing him up and getting him to stand can be difficult. But I've used that foot stand for now, which does work. It does work, but I've elected to use a crotch grabber. So that's him with that head sculpt on. I'm going to keep the pose and put on the other head sculpt. So I've just changed over his head to this sculpt, where the mandibles are fully extended, and personally speaking, I like both of them, and whatever pose you put him in, whatever head sculpt you use, he's a very strong and imposing figure, and his role in the film is to destroy the fugitive predator and get back the weapon, and also obtain another human species, which happens to be a child with autism, which is trying to give the message to us people who have a perception of people with autism that they are people who are gifted. I watched a program on people with autism, and then often very good pianists or artists or mathematicians. So I think that story tries to give credit where this predator is trying to capture a child, which is the child of the main character, the hero figure. And it's all about a group of soldiers and misfits who are trying to stop him. It's a good film. You know, I don't think it got the respect it was due, but what I'm going to do now is put him into a different pose and show you what both head sculpts look like with that pose. Right then, let's carry on. So here's your next one. Twisted the body, tilted the head, raised up the slashing blade arm. I quite like that pose. Now I'm going to go back to using the crotch grabber, but for filming purposes I'm using a foot stand. So far I'm managing to keep him from falling over, but it is more of a risk because of the way this figure is designed. He's got quite slim ankles, but I've had a lot of practice with him. So what I'll do is keep this pose and show you him with the other head sculpt in. But at the moment he's got a gesture hand there and a fighting fist. I won't put him into the one knee pose because you've seen that in earlier reviews. And I've also shown you him fighting a xenomorph, an alien, which is on the channel. So if you go into the channel, you will see a whole review on all the Predators and their different poses. But I'm doing a section change out of all the figures on that section. So whatever pose I decide on in this review, that's what I'm going to put back in the section of the Predators. So when it comes to the Christmas review, you'll pretty much see what you're seeing today, or one of these poses. So let's bring on the next one, but put in the other head sculpt. So this is the other head sculpt. The pose is the same. And I personally like them both. Depending on how I'm going to pose this figure, I will use whatever head sculpt suits the pose. But so far, while I'm looking at this review, I'm trying out new ideas, because in the future I may start doing slightly different things with this figure interacting with other Predators, and it's a good reference point to see how each pose looks with the different head sculpts on. Now he comes with that weapon there that you can take off the gauntlet, and I might show you a few poses without that. And he also comes with a gauntlet cannon, which is not on at the moment, but you can find a little slot on that gauntlet and you can slot it in there. But you know all this, if you tuned into the channel you would know all this, but this is basically about trying out different poses. So let's try something different again. Squared them on. The challenge of posing this figure, and I don't mind that because I always like to push myself when it comes to posing figures, is the balance. Because he's such a big figure, he's the biggest of my Predators. It's the risk of him falling over, but having that crotch grabber that I normally use on him now, that element is removed. So I'm going to keep the pose and change out this head. So there's the other head. I tweak the slashing blade slightly. But I'm liking what I'm seeing. I think with me as well, with attention to detail, sometimes I have the dreads coming forward on the head, and sometimes I just let them hang back naturally. It's a personal choice, but I'm glad I got this one because it is the way you see him in most of the film. But when he activates his armor from under his skin, he appears blue, and I've seen that version and it is good, but he doesn't come with any other accessories. He comes with the same ones as this one. So let's get things moving along. This one was a bit fiddly. Trouble with this figure, if he falls over, he falls over big time because he is so big. But so far so good. Okay, I'm going to put on that other head sculpt. Let's get that angle. Okay, I feel an outtake coming, but I don't mind that. Still the basic pose is the same, but I've dropped his posture a bit. It's beginning to feel a bit dicey, this. His dreads are back behind his body now. But I'm liking the way it looks with this head sculpt on. Right then, let's add the other weapon to him, which is his gauntlet cannon. Okay, I've tried to crouch him down a bit, but this is a dicey one simply because I'm not using the crotch grabber. It's not a secure pose. But there's the laser cannon there. And you can actually tilt that cannon upwards or downwards. And I'll put in that hand, which was a fighting fist, and I'll put a fighting fist in there, because if I watch the film carefully, I think that's how you see him use the weapon. So let's put on the other head sculpt. Same pose, but I squared him on. I've just demonstrated quickly that gauntlet cannon pointing upwards, just to show you it does move like that, but I'll put it back down and give you the pose I wanted to show you. So I've just put him back to the position you saw the other one in with the other head sculpt, and I pointed that weapon back down. I've also pushed his dreadlocks back so you can see more of the head. Okay, I think I've got a couple of more and then we'll leave it there. Again, try to get him into those, what I call over the top alien poses, sorry, predator poses. But it's a difficult job because he's a genetically enhanced predator with those alien feet, the xenomorph. He's kind of top heavy, a bit tricky to pose, but excuse me, I'm going to put the other head sculpt on it and see what it looks like. Actually, I'll tilt the head first on this and see what that looks like. That's a bit better. But I think this pose will look better with the other head sculpt on. So I'm going to put that on now. I notice when I'm doing reviews, I don't chat too much because I'm always worried the thing's going to topple over. And certainly in the case of this one, he's tricky, but I like that challenge. That's the fun of posing figures on the posing channel. And when you get it right, it feels good. And when it looks good on camera, it feels good. So let's put that other head sculpt on. Okay, I think I like this one better, only because I tilted his head. But it's not the strongest pose for this figure. Okay, right, what I'll do now is give you one more. And I'll put on the bladed weapon he also comes with, along with the laser cannon. So he's got both weapons that he came with. That bladed gauntlet, or that gauntlet blade, I don't know the technical word for it, and his gauntlet cannon. And I tell you something, with this guy, it's great to see him in these different poses, but it's a nervous kind of posing. Because of the way he is and those feet, it is a case of hopefully he's not going to fall over. But what I'm going to do now is put on that other head sculpt, and after that I'll give you one more pose and call it a day. But I have enjoyed posing him. So that's the other head sculpt, and I can't tell you, for some reason this thing started falling over, and in the words of my friend, a total ball ache. Check out Ray Ray's collection and subscribe. But it is the final one, before the final one. So I'm going to pause it now before this thing topples and give you the final pose. So you know what, I thought I've done well with this figure. Put him in some really good poses, but it hasn't been really secure. So I've got him on the one knee pose. A final look at that head sculpt. I have no preference, I like them both. And you're about to see the other one in a minute, just to finish this review. I was going to pose him without the weapons and just have those gesture hands in, and he just looked good that way. But I thought, you know what, finish on a high. But the trickiest thing about this figure is definitely the feet there. Because he's been genetically enhanced, he now has xenomorph feet or alien feet. But it is a great figure. He was 46 quid when he came out. I think he was more like 65, up as high as 85. And then I didn't pick him up at the time. And then I started to see him going up to like 100, 150 quid. So I just left it. I did want him. I know the film wasn't raved about by the fans, but I do think it was good. Considering when you've got Badlands as the latest release, I bet some of the people who kind of badmouthed that film that this Assassin Predator was in now like it a lot more. But for me, I always liked it. Wasn't the strongest story, but I did like it. And I think if they'd have carried on that storyline in which they used the weapon that the fugitive predator left them, the humans, it would have been good to see them take on this guy. But I'm going to put in the head sculpt and wind up the review. So this is the other head sculpt and the final pose for tonight. I've been doing a lot of night shoots, thinking it would be nice and quiet, but we've got some bleep, 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 bleep expletive. That's me being rude without swearing. Idiots outside. Why is it I live in a country where idiots live? The minute they have a bit of drink in them, they want to act like bleep expletive heads. But I'm going to get off that subject because I've enjoyed tonight. I've filmed 2 predators. I think I've just got the jungle predator to go. You'll see that in a couple of days. I'll just show you some close-ups. And some good work there in that sculpt. And I've got his dreads coming forward. Okay, so on that note, I say thanks for watching the channel. I'm very pleased there were no outtakes on this one, because not that I don't mind outtakes, as I've said before on my Nightmare Batman review, but this is a big figure, and if he went over he could go big time and it might break something, so that didn't happen. So on that note, I say thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you again next time. And I'm going to finish with a close-up of that. I like that. See you next time.